What is going on, YouTube? It is Mr. Ferguson here once again with another video from Central North Carolina. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about soil test and seeds with special guest Miss Ferguson, who's off to the side here, who wants me to do the intro by myself. She left me hanging, so let her hear that in the comments below. But I also want to mention, before we get into the topics we're going to discuss today, that I am using some new equipment that belongs to my church. I did use this on the midweek quickie from this past Wednesday. I got some feedback, but I wanted to try it here again on the Mr. Ferguson outside on the Mr. Ferguson Lawn Care channel. So let me know if you notice a improvement or about the same as far as quality. You can toggle it. It should be in 1080, 60 frames per second, which looked a little bit clear in the last video. So let me know if it looks better or worse to you or about the same, and just comment below if you would. So the first thing, guys, I want to get into is we were going to do a review of the lawn and the ammonium sulfate fertilizer we put down. We'll get to that on Wednesday likely. It'll be a perfect Wednesday video. I'm recording this the day before you're watching it because we got so much on the weekend with basketball and with recording the church and having to upload that. It's very difficult. I'm not finding the time to do the Saturday video for Monday, so I apologize. I'm getting this out late to the members who should be getting them a little bit earlier. I apologize. We'll try to improve on that. But let me go ahead and get my phone out. But we want to talk about the soil test. If you guys remember, it's been about a week or so. I had an issue with RX Soil. They said because the soil test wasn't purchased that they had an issue, but we got it resolved. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here, and I'm going to stand on this side so that over on this side I can put the soil test up. But I had a shocker on it. So here's the first thing as I pull it up. Bam, there you go. There's the soil test. And the number one thing, guys, remember we've been talking about pH. Look at this. My pH turned out to be 7. So from 6 to 7 is good, and I'm at a high 7. So that goes back to tell you on the rapid test, we thought we was somewhere around a 6, a 6.2. Well, as somebody commented on that video, they said, Mr. Ferguson, you're using bottled water, not distilled water. It could throw it off. Absolutely true. I knew that was the case. And turns out it may have made a huge difference because according to RX Soil over here, they're saying my pH is around 7. So adding lime would be a nightmare. We do not want to do that. And it turns out that the fertilizer, totally by accident, I hadn't got these results yet when I picked ammonium sulfate to put down as my first fertilizer. Well, it turns out one of the things that will bring down a high pH is ammonium sulfate, the fertilizer. So thank you, Jesus, that he kind of guided me into that. So we've got it down. It should help as I use this product a little more. We should be able to lower our pH a little bit, but that was a shocker for sure. I was not expecting to see a 7 as far as my pH. So I'm going to be working on bringing that down. We definitely got a lot of work to bring it down. And if you've got some things to improve on, drop it down below. The biggest thing that I saw was adding something like ammonium sulfate and sulfur and things of that nature. Let me know your thoughts below. And also, is this absolutely accurate? I'm not sure. We may need to do another rapid test with distilled water to verify RX Soil is correct. Maybe they're off some. So it is kind of worrisome, but we're going to drive on and we're going to try to bring this down, and we've already taken steps to do that. The only other thing I'll mention over here, guys, on the soil test is notice my phosphorus, the P right there. It is above optimal, and I didn't even use any phosphorus in my I didn't use starter fert this past fall when we planted in the front yard, and in the backyard we didn't plant at all. We used pre-emergent. I haven't used phosphorus in 2 years, and my phosphorus is above optimal. So that's something that jumped out at me. My magnesium is high. It has always been high. My manganese is high. It's always been high. My sulfur's a little low. My K, we finally moved our potassium up a little bit. It's typically been low, low, low. And with all the potassium applications over the years, we've kind of raised that up, but we're still at medium. We're not quite at optimal yet. So we're still working at potassium with CK, with RGS. You know, with different summertime potassium applications, maybe we can continue to inch that up. And that's pretty much the other one. Then you got some of the micronutrients that are, my iron always reports high. I haven't used a lot of iron. We did do a iron. We added a little bit of microgreen into our pre-emergent mix to darken it up. There was 3% iron in that. So my iron always shows super high there, but that's pretty much it. The biggest thing was the pH. That is super concerning. I will be here on the channel. If you've got a a high pH, yeah, I'm going to be going down that road. We're going to be using ammonium sulfate to try to bring it down. That is the fertilizer I'm kind of forced now to kind of use to bring down the pH. It's so important. But let me know other things I can take as far as the soil test, or as far as the pH, steps that I may be able to take to bring that down. So with that said, the other thing, I want to bring in Miss Ferguson. We're going to do, so she's going to talk just a minute, and I'm not going to really leave the camera. She's here beside me. But she's got some plans that she wanted to talk about, some things we're going to do here in the spring and the summer as far as planting seed. And it's not grass seed, so I'll let her talk about it. That's why, you know, she's the flower girl, or the garden girl, more so than me. So go ahead, tell them what you were thinking about.
I don't know that I would necessarily say that that's my forte, but we're going to try something we haven't done before. We're actually going to try to start seeds for our veggies. We're big veggie eaters. Well, not him, but the girls and I, we enjoy lettuces and tomatoes, cucumbers. And last year we did grow some kale, which is actually still alive. Surprisingly, it made it through the winter, but kale's pretty cold tolerant. And some tomatoes. We really enjoy tomatoes. So we're going to try some kind of tried and true methods. So we will grow things like, we'll start our tomatoes and the cucumbers in these little seed pots inside with a grow light and a fan. But we're actually going to try something called, I think it's winter seed starting. So the lettuces, so are things that are really a spring or a fall crop that actually prefer and thrive in the cooler temperatures. We're going to start them in plastic bags outside and get them going from there. We do intend on putting a raised bed back here behind us, and probably a couple pots for some of these. The bigger tomatoes we'll actually probably try to grow in the ground along the side of the house. We're also going to start some blueberries. We've actually got the blueberries established as plants, but the lettuces, the cucumber, some peppers, some broccoli, some basil, because Sarah Jane loves basil. We're going to try our hand at growing that. So we just went to Walmart and picked up some of these little seed starting pots. They compost, so we can actually plant these directly into the dirt. And so we'll see.
So, as you guys know, I do mainly the grass. I'll mess with that. She was out here yesterday. The wheelbarrow is off to the side. She was pulling some of the POA. Like I said, we had a lot of people when we were playing with Etho Fumicate with POA Constrictor over Etho 4SC with Mr. Kevin. We did some POA Constrictor in the front yard. We'll do another update on that, but we've got POA, as I showed you guys, popping up in like the mulch areas, and even in the front yard. I'll show you that maybe this week or maybe next week. We do have some POA annua popping up in certain areas. We've done pre-emergent, so pre-emergent does not stop everything as well. Let's go ahead and mention that you are likely to get some other type of weeds to slip through the cracks if you fail to spray, or just it doesn't stop everything. So just keep that in mind. But as far as the seeds, we'll give you updates on that. You know, Miss Ferguson, she does flowers. She likes to do the edibles, like, you know, like she's talking about cucumbers and tomatoes and all that. So you may see that in the background and see a visual update even if we don't talk about that.
Some of these things, actually, we're coming up on the season where if you're going to be starting some of the seeds indoors, so like your tomatoes, now is the time to be starting them indoors, so that way come springtime you can plant them. Well, a lot of that also depends on your zone. For zone 7, some of these we can be starting now, and actually the lettuce, you can be starting that as soon as the soil is workable. So that's why we're going to do those outside, but then the tomatoes and everything else we'll be doing inside. But if you're really looking at growing things from seed, now is the time to actually start getting them going indoors, so you've got time to harden them off and give them a good chance to grow.
So thank you guys for tuning in today. That's about all we'll cover today. We'll give you updates on this as it goes forward. We're going to do an update on the fertilizer. How did it turn out? You can kind of see behind me maybe a little bit to get kind of a sneak peek there. So we'll update you on that, and on POA annua and how that's turning out, because we're seeing some triv. I'm seeing the triv kind of look a little more bright lime green, and it's because I believe the fertilizer has darkened the grass a little bit. We had rain the day after I applied that. So tune in for that. Thank you so much. Remember, the channel memberships, if you're interested in Mr. Ferguson Super Freak or Lawn Freak, there's packages there with little perks, and we'll just continue to update you guys on what we're doing here in Central North Carolina. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great Monday, and we'll see you next time.